Look forward to seeing you guys in
2025.
I'm SP from Better Podcasting, a show dedicated to help make your podcast better. And it is part of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other insightful and wonderful geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to episode 3472 of the official GonnaGeek Show. I am Steven, and I am pleased to say I am back again, back on a Mac with a friend named Chris.
Who are you people?
Also, we've got SP with us.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is an awesome start to 2025 for the GonnaGeek Show.
This is your first episode of the official GonnaGeek Show for 2025.
Really, who are you people? I don't know you.
I don't know either. For those of you that didn't know this, we were away for a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, but your feed didn't download for a little bit, but we are back. And here's the most exciting part about all of this here is that we are, aside from a very likely coming soon winter vacation, planning on doing this bi-weekly. So we're going to try to get back to it bi-weekly, and we are so excited to be back. We have, all three of us had just a very different year, and it has been not ideal for podcasting for all of us in our individual personal lives. So we decided, why not do it at the end of the year? So here we are. We are here, and we're actually super excited. Full disclosure, this decision to actually pull the trigger now came on somewhat quick. We had talked about it a little bit over the past year, but we pulled the trigger quickly. So please bear with us while we refined our sea legs.
You didn't tell me we're going on a ship.
Oh, I thought that was going to be our new gimmick.
Or a ship?
A ship. That's straight out of Fubar. Have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't.
Fubar's on Netflix. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's canceled. It only had 2 seasons, but it is full of geek references, and it is just entertaining and fun. It's not very real. If you're used to like 24 or Jack Ryan or whatever, it's not that. It's more the sitcom version of that.
Okay, cool. Don't know if you guys noticed this, but I have decided to bring the budget down in my studio. I have wrinkled curtains behind me that I have to somehow get the wrinkles out of. However, I had enough of the green screen, and I'm going to be able to wear green. And so I've actually had these lights for like 2 years.
So wait a minute, that's a curtain? I thought that was a tarp.
It could be a tarp.
It's for putting dead bodies in. He's going to murder someone and wrap them up in it.
Yeah. Gonna, not have.
I know. It's the Gonna Murder Show, not the GonnaGeek Show.
I did want to say, though, that I am so happy to be back podcasting with you guys. It is something that I have missed. I've missed the Geek Talk. There's many times that random things have come up over the last year that we've chatted about offline, but I've been thinking like this would be such a fun thing to banter with you guys about. And some of that involves technology, some of that involves space, some of that involves all sorts of other geeky things. And that's why we have the official GonnaGeek Show, so that we can do that. So shall we just get into some news and do that?
Let's gonna do it.
Sure.
Chris Farrell, I have a question for you.
Oh, God.
How does it feel to be taking the inaugural, I didn't say that right, but we're going to go with it, 2025 GonnaGeek Show news?
Feels like a kick in the bits.
Nice.
Well, go ahead. Tell us all about your news.
No, I kid. Well, more the news itself might be a kick in the bits, depending on the way you look at it. So let's get into it. You guys know I've talked about on this show and other podcasts I may have done in the past or guested on in the past that I was a big proponent of Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass platform, which was effectively a subscription service that combined their gold service with a bunch of games that you get on day and date release. And we all went, who are using it, man, this is a pretty good value. If you paid regular price, it was $20 a month. You could always get it for cheaper by stacking around Black Friday timeframe. And it was an inevitable question of, well, damn, when's Microsoft going to F this up? Hey, guess what? Microsoft effed it up just this last week. Game Pass.
Whoa. Microsoft F things up?
Right? Who'd have thunk, right?
They were holding it wrong.
So what am I talking about here? It does not necessarily apply to the lower tiers of Game Pass, but Game Pass Ultimate, which is what I have been stacking for a few years now by getting gift cards ahead of time, they're changing things around there. There's their third price hike in 2 years now, where they're shifting from $19.99 a month to $29.99 a month. So you start saying, okay, it's about half of a brand new video game. And now they are making it a bit more exclusive than all of its other tiers, meaning there are some games that will be day and date release that you only get on the Ultimate tier. So you can probably read between the lines and realize this means, oh, Call of Duty, for instance, because Microsoft bought Activision, that's something they're going to put behind the Ultimate tier. And you'd be correct. You have to subscribe to the $30 a month service to get that. But also for other games such as, Outer Worlds 2. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second, guys. I'm a little rusty.
I don't know what Outer Worlds is. Please tell me about this.
It's a RPG created by one of the studios that helped make some of the classic Fallout games in the past that spun off on their own. So it very much feels like that. It has a very dedicated fan base.
That sounds out of this world.
It does indeed. So what do you get if you get the Ultimate tier of Xbox Game Pass now? Well, you get 75 day one releases a year they've committed to that the other two tiers of service won't get all of on day one release. They'll get potentially 3 months later. You get access to Fortnite Crew, which I didn't know what this was until I looked it up, which is an $11.99 a month value that gives you 1,000 V-Bucks. And I don't know what any of that means because I don't play Fortnite. But you get store credit of some kind. I'm not sure what it actually maps to. I guess $12 from what it says. And you get access to Ubisoft Plus's classics, which allow you to play classic Ubisoft games. Probably the biggest change here is that the Xbox Cloud Gaming is moving out of beta now. And with the Xbox Ultimate tier for Game Pass, you'll be able to play at 1440p with no wait time. And other tiers of Game Pass will have some more wait time and potentially less quality. Oh, and they also took away discounts on DLC that you used to get as a Game Pass subscriber with this price increase and putting things behind higher level tiers that don't make sense. I don't know about you guys, but as someone who plays their Xbox fairly well, I feel like there's not things that are additive value to me. Maybe if I played Fortnite, I might find some value in getting $12 of virtual currency a month for my $30 subscription. But I'm looking at all these changes they made and I went, yeah, I might want to play Call of Duty if it was on Game Pass. I'm not going to go buy it myself. But Outer Worlds 2, I go, yeah, that'll be $60, $70. That's 2 months of Game Pass. That's probably all I would play for a little bit. I don't see why I would spend $30 a month for this new Game Pass tier. And I'm not the only one. Granted, the internet goes crazy on all these things, but like Microsoft servers crashed with everyone canceling their Game Pass subscription after this announcement.
Wow, that's crazy. I honestly don't know what to think about this because I for one was thinking, okay, well, we're getting old. We're getting old,
yes.
and we're not maybe the target generation anymore. And that's where I think like, okay, the V-Bucks thing and the money thing, whatever you call that. That I'm too old to know what that currency is called.
But you got children who play Fortnite, right?
Yes, and they eat up things like the V-Bucks. But then I'm thinking like the Ubisoft Classics offsets that because they're probably not into that. So like they feel like opposing add-ins. I don't know. I'm very confused about this whole thing.
It feels like they just tossed a bunch of stuff in to kind of justify this price increase. And they kept making a point of saying, hey, Game Pass is profitable when it was at $20 a month. So it feels almost like a greed play. I'm like, okay, you're making money. Let's make some more money. And I don't know how much it's going to backfire or not, because they're already getting a lot of heat because they've increased the price twice on all of their hardware too, due to tariffs and things like that. So everything Xbox has gone up across the board.
Well, so I don't play Xbox as much as y'all do. So let's just start from there. And the last thing I played on Xbox was what we talked about on the show. Was on Thanksgiving. I played Halo ODST, I believe that's what it was. Anyway, that's the last thing I played on Xbox. I do have a lower value, what is it called? Essential plan, I think, on Xbox. So, and that did go up. It was $74.99 a year. It's gone up to $79.99 a year. And I can't talk tonight. Great. This is going to be fun. So, that is the last thing I played. And it's mostly because, I mean, we alluded to this, Stephen, on Better Podcasting. I don't think we alluded to it here.
My life is going to better what?
Better podcasting.
Better procasting. It's how you cast
that too.
to catch fish.
Better procrastination. I remember that.
That works
well
too.
Well played. So talked about how this year was going to be a change for me for work. And it happened in more ways than one. And I've just been completely drained for most of the year. Since the first week of February on to now. I did end up changing jobs, and I really haven't had time to game, but I've always, I have the state-of-the-art Xbox console. I keep on looking at it going, I would really like to play you tonight, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to do other things. I'm going to go adult. So I'm kind of aging out of this, unfortunately. And I'm not sure what level I really should I even be at the essential level if I'm only going to play it a couple of times a year?
I hear you on that, and I'm also super confused as well. And as Chris mentioned, I have kids that play on it, but it seems like every time they've gone to play one of the games that they're like, hey, I remember we were playing this game and it was on there. It's now pulled. So I'm also confused.
Can you buy it and have it on your account?
You can, but the thing is, they started by playing it when it was on the live service, and then they're like, oh, I want to go flash that up, and then it's now not on there, so now they can't anymore.
It's just like if you're watching Warehouse 13 on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and then it goes bye-bye and you can't find it anywhere on Prime or whatever, and you have to buy it in order to watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it used to be there were discounts if you're a Game Pass subscriber and decide to buy one of the games on Game Pass or DLC for that. But Microsoft has now phased that out and said, well, you'll get more Microsoft rewards points by doing it. And I'm like, I don't want to be in your ecosystem for this. I just want to be able to play online games at this point in time. And I don't even know what tier of Xbox Game Pass or Gold or whatever I need, because all I'm playing right now is Helldivers 2. So I need online multiplayer. And I just need whatever gives me that at this point. Any other games, I'll buy them when I want them and call it a day. I don't know. I feel really burnt out by the fact that in a few years, they've more than doubled the price on that and made it less useful. It's kind of, and you can bleep this if you want, Steven, it just leads more to the enshittification of a bunch of these kind of services where it starts out great and then it just devolves because prices go up and they price it out of where I want to pay.
I heard enshittification said on TV at some point, so I am going to leave it. I'm going to say that is a part of our vocabulary now.
But you only get one an episode.
Oh, well, I'm borrowing one from the future. Okay.
Yeah, we can say
Now, I know you had a couple of questions for us regarding this, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, so the first one I'd asked was pretty much, does anyone think it's useful? Does anyone understand this stuff? The second thing I was honestly thinking is, are there games you guys would want to play on Game Pass right now that you don't already own? Like, I keep looking, it's like all the Halo games are there. I'm like, well, I already own all the Halo games. I bought them. And it's like Call of Duty's there. And I'm like, yeah, I play Call of Duty when I can buy it for like $6 pre-owned. Yeah, like if you look at the Game Pass roster of games, is there anything in particular you guys want to play? And I can go and kind of pull up a list of some Game Pass games to share with you if you're not familiar.
I think that one of the problems that we've got here with this game catalog is that with what we believe is this new model here, if they are older games, it's going to be easier and maybe a lot more affordable now for people just to go and find a used copy somewhere and hold on to it if they've got a console that actually has a drive in it. But before, when it was like, oh, okay, you've got this back catalog of games that, yeah, sure, I could go down to the GameStop and buy a pre-owned copy for whatever. But I'm also getting these cutting edge games in here. So why would I do that? Right. Like, so then the value is there, but now it's not like that.
I did enjoy the fact that one of the things they were talking about is get Hollow Knight Silk Song as part of Game Pass. And I was like, your monthly subscription is more than the game cost.
Exactly. That's my point. And that's what I'm probably going to have to do here is look at this. Obviously, I need to see what's the functionality that I lose by not having that. And then I need to go to the kids and go, okay, which games do you want? And then do a bit of math and just go, okay, order.
Here's where my bias may come into play as well. We've been on hiatus. I can talk about it more later. As I picked up a Steam Deck because I found one on sale, and I was reminded by the fact of, oh yeah, Steam sales are godly, and you can get really good games for dirt cheap. And I'm like, I have a ton of stuff I want to play on there, and I can dock it with my TV if I want to play it full screen. So I'm kind of sitting there going, man, I could play some of these same games on Xbox, or it'll be cheaper on the Steam sale and I can play it on my Steam Deck. And it is almost the perfect form factor for carrying around. I find myself like playing a couple games all the time on Xbox, but really gravitating to my Steam Deck / PC gaming. Ironic because I don't have a PC that can play video games.
Can I tell you that random tangent here? Because, you know, it's the first time back in 2025. I think we've bought ourselves some time to go on some tangents. Pretty much every time I think about a Steam Deck or a Stream Deck, I think of you, Chris Farrell.
Why does the Steam Deck make you think of me?
Because a couple of years back, over Christmas, I had bought myself a second Stream Deck, and this is just a silly thing. And I had come on here and I'd been like, I bought myself another Steam Deck. And you're like, wow, 2 Steam Decks? Because I had said Steam Deck by mistake instead of Stream Deck. And so every time I'm just like, I don't know, I giggle and I chuckle to myself about that because like here I was like big baller John Drew. Well, that almost went wrong. Buying 2 Steam Decks. But no, actually, I meant Stream Decks, and I don't even own one Steam Deck. So we know the one with big baller is Chris Farrell.
I do love my Steam Deck.
I think the one thing that I might be interested in if there was a game coming up that I really wanted to play is the day one games where they come out and then you have early access or preferred access or whatever that is. I think that would be a big thing for me if I wanted to take a day off and when it released and then just sit around and play it.
You know what's interesting about that, now that you frame it that way, they're trying to do what the movies did, where they're like, hey, we can make more money by making it exclusive as a digital download at first on our streaming service where you can pay extra to get it on day one.
And I haven't had HBO since.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
How about you, Chris?
It's all crappy.
What games do you want to play on there?
I mean, Helldivers 2 is what I'm playing now, which isn't on there, but I have enjoyed Indiana Jones, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a fun game. And I did download that the day it came out on Xbox. And it sat for like 2 months before I went, oh yeah, I downloaded that. I should play it. So Indiana Jones is one of the ones I wanted to play. I don't care about Call of Duty. Expedition Obscura 33 or Claire Obscura 33. I can't remember what the name of it is. I picked that up as a classic RPG on there and played it because it was an exclusive. And I will give them credit. Game Pass is a great discovery tool for me because I'll give a chance on a game that I may not want to drop $40 on and see how it works. But like I said, for $30 a month, I'd rather just take a chance on games or buy used games or wait until there's digital sales and do it because I think I'll save money in the long run.
The last game I bought was Starfield, which I haven't played all that much.
I enjoyed that one. My wife played it a lot more than I did. She loved it. She's beaten it like 2 or 3 times at this point in time.
You've probably beaten it, 2 or 3 times?
Chris, let me ask you this question. You have both consoles. You're in both ecosystems. Which console do you prefer, the Sony or the Microsoft?
I like so this is getting into what was a classic argument on the All Things Good and Nerdy show, which I caught so much crap for, which was seriously, you've heard this before,
I know where
Steven.
you're going.
I caught so much hell on that show because I was like, I like the feel of an Xbox controller more in my hand, and that's why I'm going to go that route.
Okay.
When all things are equal, it doesn't really matter what console you play it on. Play what you're comfortable with. I would argue Sony has some better exclusives. Like they have the Spider-Man games. They're going to have the Wolverine games. But if you
Spider-Man,
yeah, and I like Spider-Man. I like Wolverine. But if you want to play a multi-platform game, just play it on whatever you prefer. I mean, I would say steer clear from the Switch and Switch 2 because they're not quite as high a quality on those platforms as compared to like PC or Xbox or Sony. And please send your hate mail, Chris@GonnaGeek.com, because I was mean about the Switch. But it's whatever you're most comfortable with, to be honest.
So it sounds to me like if you had to choose one over the other in the ecosystem of a console, you would go Sony rather than Microsoft.
Yes, because I think the controller is vastly superior. No. I got so much crap for that.
But the exclusive games for you, I know what Spider-Man means for you, so you would go Sony versus Xbox.
So in all honesty, I honestly don't know, and it's probably a problem I'm not going to figure out until the next generation of consoles, because I have a PlayStation right now, and I will fully admit the only reason I have it is because I won it on a raffle on Whatnot that a professional wrestler was doing for people that had purchased stuff. So like that's how I got that, and that's how I played it. I would have had to seriously consider whether I wanted to buy a PlayStation just for a couple of games. And I don't use my PlayStation other than to play like Spider-Man, potentially Wolverine, and not really anything else, because if it's something else I want to play, I probably got it on Xbox.
Okay. Well, so then it sounds to me like the Xbox Game Pass subscription is worth it to you.
Not for $30 a month, it's not.
Okay.
I won't be continuing my subscription when it runs out. I'll just buy games.
Okay. Another side quest here. For those of you who are joining us new, or for those of you who might not have allocated enough brain power to remember this fact, because let's be honest, we don't deserve any of your brain power. Chris Farrell seems to be in a different location than he was the last time we podcast together, and I believe that is because he has moved, unless that was a secret, but too bad.
This is a green screen.
It's green screen. Did the Spider-Man make the move?
Oh yeah, he's over there.
Okay, good. Because I was worried about that. As you were talking about Spider-Man, I was worried.
I think the Spider-Man needs to be in front of one of the three doors next time.
There you go.
Oh, there he is.
You need to move the Spider-Man depending on what door you want to go through every episode from now on.
There you go.
Shout out to our chat. Albert Sims said, with the new background Chris has since the GonnaGeek Show, the three doors makes me think he is the new host of Let's Make a Deal.
I would watch that.
I didn't really consider how I wanted to set up my office space in regards to podcasting, so I'm kind of debating whether I would just get a green screen to drop behind me for it. But the way this is set up, like my back is to the stairwell that comes down here, our utility closet, and our laundry room. So it does literally give the three doors for Let's Make a Deal.
I love it. I think it's great.
I don't have the nice backdrop that I had previously, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. And it's kind of just a work in progress because I haven't really gotten as far as doing most of the decorating. I've gotten most of the stuff out of boxes, but like I said in the chat, I didn't even know where most of my podcasting gear was until Saturday when we started talking about this idea. And I was like, I guess I should find where my swing arm went and all my cables. I still don't know where my headphones are, so I'm using my work headphones just over Bluetooth.
We waited until after West Virginia lost, by the way, to
Which time?
prod him.
All right, well, let's go on to the next news point here, which I believe I'm surprised to say this, but things have happened in the world of space news.
They have indeed. All right, I'm going to do the miracle 3 minutes here to go over all the high points, of which will feed into my news and my questions for you guys. So,
do you want me to start a timer? No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, put it on the screen. After we podcasted last time on Thursday, January 16th, we had the first New Glenn launch from Blue Origin. They launched Blue Ring Pathfinder successfully into orbit and unfortunately lost the booster. It did not make a landing on the landing platform Vessel 1 Jacqueline or really survive reentry or anything. We're not quite sure what happened with that. Also on Thursday, January 16th, 2025, Starship Flight 7 launched. It was the first V2 ship, Ship 33, which exploded over the Turks and Caicos. The mishap was for a harmonic vibration, aka pogo, which is known in rocket speak. Booster 14 successfully was caught in the Boca Chica spaceport. Fast forward a few months, March 6, 2025, Starship Flight 8 launched, and Ship 34 also exploded over the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. The mishap investigation revealed Raptor V2 rocket engine experienced an energetic event, caused a propellant leak, and then the propellant mixed, and it ignited, and then boom. Booster 15 successfully was caught in Boca Chica. So booster's doing fine, ship is not. Fast forward a few months, May 27th, 2025, Starship Flight 9. Ship 35 actually made it up into space, but had an uncontrolled re-entry and didn't make it through the re-entry heating. The mishap investigation revealed that a header tank, one of the landing fuel tanks, did experience a leak, which was clearly visible in the payload cam with all the rocket fuel that was going around in the payload bay. The vehicle automatically safed itself and has vented its remaining propellant out in space, and it lost its attitude control and did not make re-entry. So apparently it needs fuel to re-enter. Booster 14-2 was the first Starship booster to refly. It exploded 2 seconds after its landing burn started. The mishap investigation said that they put too much stress on the engine bay due to extreme aerodynamic and thermal loads, and they were indeed trying to overstress it. So it's not a bad thing, but they did find the line of which it crossed. So booster 14.2, the first booster refly, didn't make it back. On April 1st, this was not an April Fool's joke. We're going to move away from Blue Origin and SpaceX, and we will go with Boeing. Starliner's flight to the space station, which we talked about extensively last year, was far wilder than most of us thought. And it was an article by Eric Berger, and it was on Ars Technica. You can go back and read it, and it says all the bad things about Starliner. By the way, Starliner has yet to launch again. On June 4th, a couple months later, Blue Origin revealed its lunar blueprint, including a transporter spacecraft, which had zero loss cryo tank capability. Blue Moon Mark 1 was the first lunar lander for Blue Origin, and it's capable of doing 3.3 tons to the lunar surface. Blue Moon Mark II is capable of doing 22 tons to the lunar surface, reusable, and 33 tons to the lunar surface if you just want to land there and stay there. On June 18th, so a couple weeks later, Ship 36 back on SpaceX with Starship had a static test fire explosion. I was actually watching this live on the stream, not there in Boca Chica, but SpaceX's Starship's Massey's test site critically damaged itself, basically a huge explosion. The mishap, which was not required by the FAA for this because it was not in flight, revealed a damaged high-pressure nitrogen composite overwrap vessel, or COPV. 6 weeks later, on July 31st, 2025, Ship 37 had a single-engine static fire on the launch pad. They converted their launch pad into a static fire pad for the ship. And then the next day, they did a 6-engine static fire. SpaceX is really grooving here. And then a few weeks later, on August 26th, you had Starship Flight 10, Ship 37, finally, V2 successfully deployed 8 Starlink simulators and landed on target in the Indian Ocean despite a depleted thermal protection system, which they were all testing. It had the orange tint to it because of a steel or metal plate that went bad during the reentry. All right. However, it did experience a aft clogged engine chill vent line explosion while it was in space. So it did try to tear itself apart, but it still landed. So there you go. Booster 16 performed several experimental flight tests, including a final engine out simulation before performing a planned hard splashdown. So check. Fast forward to September 22nd, 2025, Ship 38 had a 6-engine static fire test, again, on the launch mount. They're going to convert it back into a launch mount. Artemis 2 had several announcements in late September. First of all, they have a launch date not earlier than 5 February 2026, so it's in a few months from now. They had news conferences for a mission overview, a science and technology news conference, and a crew news conference all over the course of 2 days. It's all on the NASA YouTube channel. And on September 25th, NASA announced a modification of Sierra Space's commercial resupply services contract, which means that Dream Chaser was demoted to a free flight demonstration. So again, we're thinking we're going to have multiple ships taking crew or supplies up to the International Space Station. But alas, we're just left with crew anyway, with Dragon from Starship or SpaceX and Boeing and Sierra Nevada Corporation. Sierra Nevada, did I get that right? They are no longer, Sierra Space. It was Sierra Nevada and it's now Sierra Space. On September 26th, Blue Origin announced that New Glenn Flight 2 will launch soon after a hot fire in mid-October, so a couple of weeks from now, and the payload will be the NASA Escape. In September 29th, last week, 2025, SpaceX announced Starship Flight 11 not earlier than 13 October 2025, which is next week as we record this. It will have Ship 38, which will be the last version 2 ship, and Booster 15.2, which will be the last Booster version 2 to refly before they go into version 3. And then on the 2nd of October last week, New Origin announced that New Glenn 2 will land, and if it does, they will reuse that booster for their first lunar rocket for their first Mark 1 payload. The next Starliner flight, as I mentioned before, is currently not scheduled. All right. Don't know if that was 3 minutes or not. I try to get through it as fast as I can. You guys ready for the actual news and questions?
Sure. Let's go ahead and go with that. I think it was a stretched 3 minutes, but I appreciate it nonetheless because you got a chance to throw shade to Boeing in there, and I'll take any opportunity for us to do that.
Twice, or maybe 3 times actually. Okay,
thrice.
So, here's where we're at. So SpaceX is rapidly charging ahead with new Starship launch pads at both Boca Chica or Starbase USA and at Kennedy Space Center. And that means that Starship Flight 12 is unlikely to happen before the end of 2025. So we're talking into 2026. Blue Origin, New Glenn, has yet to land a booster and will take a minimum, or did take a minimum of 10 months between flights 1 and 2. So who knows how long they're going to take between 2 and 3. Don't know if it'll be quicker if they actually land it and get to reuse it or not. Artemis 3 is still funded, not Artemis 2, that's in February, but Artemis 3 is still funded. This is what's meant to land on the moon, but it's not expected to launch before mid-2027 right now. So my question for you guys is, which concept do you think will be the first to make it successfully to the lunar surface? And what do you think a realistic date for the landing will be?
Well, NASA's already there. Suncast's in the secret moon base right now. So what did he fly out there? I don't know.
I think it was just straight transporter, or it was a Stargate.
You can't go to a moon with a Stargate. Come on now. No, you can't dial from a planet to a moon with a Stargate.
Yes,
You're in the same system. It's the same gate address if you do that.
No, yes, but there's you flip a bit in there and you can change between the Stargates.
You just got to put a resistor in there.
Or a capacitor.
Fair enough. Remind me again, and sorry to do this, and I feel awful for not remembering this. Which thing is it that SpaceX has Moonwise going on?
Well, it is a version of ship, and it will land on the moon, and they will need like 17 refuelings.
But like,
in orbit?
What's its purpose? Not payload, maybe? I don't know what's the right term. Like, why is it going?
It is simply the lunar lander. So really, you only have two concepts that are going to land on the moon right now that are paid for through NASA. One is the SpaceX's human landing system,
right?
And one is Blue Origin's Mark 1/Mark 2.
Okay. I will say my money would always be at this point on SpaceX. As much as I hate to say it, I think
you think
there's so much disposable. Okay, asterisks come back to that. The reason why I say that is because Elon is the only one that is willing to do the blow it up and learn. He's the only one that's fail fast. None of the other ones are, and so. He's also shown to how he wants to get in. Who was that with? That was with Virgin. Was it Virgin? Who was it that
Virgin Galactic?
He got ahead of somebody because somebody was going to beat him to something, and he was like, no, let's push up the timeline on something. He always likes to get ahead. So if there's any wind, or if there's any word on the street, anything in the wind that somebody else is going to do it, SpaceX is probably going to find a way. With the asterisk being, if there is problems with the government side of things and wherever that relationship is sitting at that moment in time, it could go either way, where all of a sudden he's getting pushed to the side. So that's what I think.
Okay.
Chris, how about yourself? Who would you put your money on?
Sorry, I was too busy researching the Stargate problem because I wanted to win.
All right. So as Chris gets caught up, Stephen, I will tell you that Starship and SpaceX has a different development philosophy. It is iterative development, which is that fail fast development that you said. They aren't afraid of losing hardware. So that's one way to do development. The other way is to do very safety conscious. We're going to test the crap out of things before it launches to make sure that nothing bad happens. And then when it does launch, it should work as prescribed. It's kind of the way that SLS did, even though they were just taking used space shuttle parts and slapping them together in a different format. And they put that together and launched it, and it worked first time.
Fair enough.
Right? New Glenn also worked as a launch vehicle the first time. It just didn't land correctly the first time.
And that's why I kind of think the SpaceX, you're probably going to get your first successful total package first. I don't know what's going on, but like the whole thing with Boeing, Boeing was taking the slow and steady approach and didn't work out so hot for them either. So that's why I think if I was to take a guess, I would say that. And that's just because how many things has SpaceX done versus any other private company? It's miles ahead. And so I just can't help but think that they would probably be the first one. But maybe I'd be wrong.
I think Steven's right. I think the lead that they have is kind of insurmountable just because they were further ahead. They've got more cash and they have more contracts to make things happen, it seems like. So I'd put my money there. And it seems like there's a lot more disposable income going to SpaceX as well.
So there is, because of Starlink. They're getting tremendous amount of funding because Starlink is very profitable, and they have the Falcon 9 launch vehicle to generate income from. So Falcon 9, by the way, is launching the competitor to Starlink called Kuiper, which is Amazon, which is, you would think, Blue Origin, right? And because it's owned by the same guy, Bezos. So that's interesting that Amazon and their shareholders would be okay with launching their satellites on their direct competitor, but they need to, because they need to get the satellites up there in order to maintain their certification to launch their whole constellation. They have to get a certain amount of satellites into orbit by a certain time, and they just simply don't have the launch vehicles to do otherwise. That said, I'm very interested to see how you guys react if Blue Origin launches New Glenn and it lands and they're able to reuse it rapidly. So we'll see a month from now, or maybe 2 months from now, how you guys' opinion have changed or maybe has stayed the same.
Well, the other thing that Blue Origin has going for it is Katy Perry. So there's that too.
I mean,
Look how you roar, Stephen.
Whoever gets Haley Steinfeld first, that's who
That's Josh
ultimately wins.
I hear we also, while we're talking about all things realistic and real space wise, have an update about something important, Chris.
Oh, yes. In the Stargate universe, a Stargate cannot dial a moon in the same system because addresses are determined by a system's position in space and are not precise enough to differentiate between a planet and its moon.
Here's the deal, though. When they found the Stargate at the South Pole, you couldn't determine which one was being dialed. So I think if Samantha Carter was around enough to study it, she could find the differentiation between the two to make it happen.
There's priority dictated by the DHD that figures out how it works. But
so
you would have
you just get into the DHD and you figure it out and you make it happen.
So there is a proposed way you could make it happen, but you can't go from Earth to the moon with a Stargate. You would have to go out of the system and then back into the system.
If there's a Samantha Carter, there's a way.
Well, yeah, because they just alter the plot to make it work for whatever her idea is.
Exactly.
There's no canonical way it's possible in Stargate so far.
And
Stargate's a dead franchise, so there's no canon being developed.
That. It's coming back.
SP, when did Stargate Atlantis end? Or Universe, which was the last one?
They are rebooting it.
Yeah, supposedly. I've
Amazon
heard that for years and nothing's happening.
No. Amazon bought it and they're rebooting it.
When was that? Yeah, when have they done anything with it since they said they're going to reboot it? It's been years.
I don't know. It's been 6 months ago. Since Amazon bought it?
Well, they bought MGM, which owns it. There's been talk of all sorts of continuations and reboots of Stargate. There's nothing concrete besides rumors. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
You don't need concrete with Stargates. You need DHDs.
Well, what are you going to put the Stargate on if you don't have concrete?
I don't know. Ice. That's the way it was in the Arctic.
So that I can slip and fall through the Stargate.
I mean, that's one way to get from one place to another.
While you're thinking about that there, Chris Farrell, SP, let's ask you the question. Which do you think would be the first?
Honestly, I'm going to go Blue Origin. And the reason I'm going to go Blue Origin is because the Starship HLS concept requires, like I was saying before, 17 in-orbit refuelings.
Okay.
That's never been done before. They've transferred between tanks as a concept, but they've never actually done a refueling in space. So they have to figure that out. They have to do it. And then they have to launch 18 times in rapid succession to get from the Earth orbit to the lunar orbit to do that transfer. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit longer rather than a proven booster being able to take a new spacecraft up and launch it and then land on the moon.
Well, I look forward to you telling us how wrong we were and how right you were.
Oh, I'm pretty much guaranteed if I've said it on a podcast, I'll be wrong. So you guys will be right. So, and I'm fine with that. I just want to get back to the moon. I want to get this party started. I want to go to the moon. I want to go to the Mars. I want to do asteroid mining. I want to do all the things before I die. So I'm kind of in this with Elon. Like he's pushing to get this done before he dies, really. And yeah, I'm in it with him. Also, I think there might be kind of an ego thing with Elon, like the Vanderbilt, putting together the railroads sort of thing. There could be a robber baron sort of mentality. Like I want I want history to remember me as the guy who got to Mars. I think it's probably what's going to drive him forward. And it might actually drive SpaceX forward. Also, the other thing that I think we've already discussed it that might be right with you is the simple fact that they're getting a heck of a lot of money through Starlink.
I will say this, that your life might be a lot longer than you think because he's also doing all the cybernetic stuff. So maybe you can just be like a machine, like an AI machine.
Who says I'm not already?
Do you want to get Skynet? Because this is how we get Skynet.
We've already got it.
I'm good with that, which takes me to my news point. Hey there. It's been a while since we've talked about smart speakers here on the GonnaGeek Show. That was actually quite a regular topic of conversation for us for a long time here. That was many a moons ago. Just to get back to the last news point. And there's been a bit of evolution in the last couple of weeks about the smart speakers. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about your things like your ALEXAs. I'm not going to say it and trigger it. Or your Google HOMEs. I think you can actually say that, but I thought I'd spell it out anyways. Or your Apple thing. Anyways, there's been some updates in recent, and you might have heard some of the hubbub around Google because Google did make news last week talking about how they're going to be putting Gemini on smart home devices, including Nest devices, on October 2nd. They did say that coming in spring 2026, you're going to be getting Gemini on old devices. Quote, we're bringing Gemini for home to every speaker, smart display, camera, and doorbell we've made in the last decade, end quote. They also said it's going to come to the Google Home app. Now, for those of you who don't know what Gemini is, that is the new AI voice assistant thingy that Google has been doing over the last couple of years. On the Android side of things, it's pretty much replaced now the old Google Assistant that was on there. Yes, Google Assistant is still around on older devices. Yes, some people still opt for it. Yes, technically it's still relevant. But Gemini is where things are going towards. And Gemini is going to, and I think they're actually calling it Gemini for Home. It's going to replace the existing model that is on these voice assistants, these Google voice assistants, which is called Google Assistant. And that, I believe, was originally called a Google Home Mini before it became a Nest. And Google Home.
They had the Google Home, the Google Home Mini, and the Google Home Max.
Right.
Which is actually the best sounding one they've ever made.
Yes, I agree. And then they went and they rebranded them to Nest, including re-releasing many of those same devices under the Nest name.
Just the Minis, I think, were re-released under the Nest name out of that hardware. And then they made the new speakers that you could stereo pair. Because I have a few in my house. Because I went deep down the rabbit hole. We've talked about it on this show before.
Right. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's the first one out of the main voice assistants that have talked about doing that. But you would be wrong, because back in February of 2025, Amazon did actually announce that they had created Alexa Plus. Now, Alexa Plus was the same idea for the Amazon. Oh, see, I just said it. I did everything I could to not say it. And then I went and I said it 3 times. How ridiculous of me. Anyways,
you can beep yourself.
I'm not going to. It's too much work. But the ALEXA Plus, I'll just call her Al Plus for short. Al Plus.
Amazon Voice Services.
Amazon Voice Services Plus was announced back in February and actually has been doing some testing. You had to sign up to be a beta tester. There is a cost involved, but apparently it's free for Prime members. But meh. Haven't heard much about it.
For now.
And
you know they're going to make you pay.
Following up to this February news, Amazon did last week also give a bit more information about what their plan's going to be. And they said on September 30th that they basically did their annual release of a whole bunch of new devices in time for holiday season. And so they announced all of those, and then also have said that 4 of those devices are including Amazon Voice Services Plus, which isn't actually Amazon Voice Services Plus. So I shouldn't say that, because the whole ALEXA Plus thing is an AI system, not just the voice assistant, because it's also being tied into things like the doorbell, I believe. So it's an AI infrastructure as opposed to just a voice assistant, but there is also the voice assistant aspect in there. And then they have said that there are some devices, I believe they're first gen devices, like the Show, I think, doesn't isn't going to support it, but there's a list of them that aren't going to support it once it does start to roll out to the mainstream. But like with Google, that is looking into 2026, which is a shame because it would have been nice, I think, to have been around for this holiday season. I think maybe it could have helped both the companies a little bit if they did have the extra functionality in there. But on the flip side, I know they also want stability, so who knows? Now, my question for you guys here is, because it has been a while since we have talked about our smart speaker use, do you guys still use the smart speakers that we've previously discussed? If you are still using smart speakers, which ones are you using? And will the AI rollout, which probably will become mandatory at some point here, at some point, I'm sure they'll officially discontinue the old one and make you get the new one, for full functionality. Will that impact your decision going forward, whether it is negatively or positively? So let's start with you, SP, as you are sniffing your puck.
It's an Amazon Echo.
Dot. Third generation? Second?
Third or fourth. It's not second. It's more advanced. I forget which one this is. Anyway, yeah, I still use the Amazon ecosystem. And when the Amazon or the A Word Plus came out, I decided to, well, let's go ahead. Let's see what it is. It is an improvement over the original one. First of all, the voice is more natural. It's more conversational. And it's more of a back and forth rather than a command sort of thing. The old commands still work, and I'm trained myself to use them, so I have been using them. Like I say a word weather, and it comes out with the weather versus, hey, word, what's the weather like, and come out with that as well. So the simple commands are good and short. And it really, I asked it the stupid question, like, what is your favorite thing to do in whatever season, fall season, whatever? And it said, yeah, I would love to go out, but I can't actually sense anything or whatever. So it was interesting that it was more humanized in its response, but still limited by the fact that it was a machine. So a little unnerving, but at the same time, kind of cool to actually have a more advanced conversation with it, more along the lines of the large language models that we've been using lately. You pick whatever it is. There's been a lot of them out there. So it was more conversational that way. The one thing that I still hate is it's been on again, off again this whole year, and it has nothing to do with Amazon as a company, was its link with Harmony. It has failed again. So it was,
what a shock.
It was working, then it was not working, then it was working again, and now it's back to not working. It's nothing to do with the A word. It has everything to do with Logitech, I believe, and their ability to interface back and forth and keep their coding up and whatever. I still have Harmony remotes. I still use them. I think they're great. And I wish we've talked about it at length in different episodes of this show. I wish there was some sort of replacement. And if the replacement happens to be one of these, to be conversational and be able to take you through all the functionalities on your media center, then I'll be fine with it. But right now that just doesn't exist. So the Harmony remote's where it's at. That is the one failure, and it has nothing to do, in my opinion, with, I haven't researched it, but I believe it is everything to do with Logitech and nothing to do with Amazon. So yeah, I'm kind of liking it. It is a little bit unnerving. It is a little bit, are you listening to me? It is a little bit of how much data are you taking from me? That sort of thing. So I'm kind of careful about what I say to it. But on the other hand, it's listening all the time. So it's like, I don't know, guys. It's a danged if you do, danged if you don't. This is everything that we've ever wanted to from like Star Trek: The Next Generation. And yet it has everything that we've hated from this from like Terminator 2. So,
How about you, Chris? Do you have any thoughts on either of those points?
So I still dabble with both sets of devices right now. I lean a little more on the Amazon side, and I'll explain why right now, which is because if I tell it to play music or tell it to tune to a station on my SiriusXM subscription I have, it starts playing immediately. There's no pause. And what really annoys me on all of the Google devices is there's a pause associated with processing my request, and then it'll tell me it's doing it, and then I wait again. So you wait like 10 seconds to get music to start playing, or you try and set a timer, and then you wait like 10 seconds before it says, oh, this is actually starting. So the current iteration of the Google Assistant and Amazon Voice Services, Amazon's the winner. I haven't upgraded to the Voice Services Plus feature from Amazon, mostly because I'd read horror stories of it not playing well with the Logitech Harmony skill, and I didn't want that to break because I use that for a few devices around here. But really, the major thing I use either device set for is controlling lights in my house. Most of them are programmed on schedules, but like if I want to go down to the basement, I'll say, hey, A-word, turn on the lights in the office, and it turns on all the correct lights it's supposed to. I can set my lights on a timer vocally, and it seems to work more easily and understand me more readily on the current implementation of Amazon Voice Services. I think when Gemini comes to the G machines, it could be a different story, but I have my reservations because my old hardware is so slow to respond to things, and I'm not sure how you fix that problem with Gemini. I just don't see how you do it. I've been using Gemini on my cell phone to do some things. It's on my watch now. Strangely enough, it's not an Android Auto. It still uses Google Assistant there. And there are problems with Gemini though too. Like for instance, you can tell Google Assistant, hey, my wife is so-and-so. So if you say to it, text my wife this, it knows. I have told that to Gemini multiple times. It cannot make the connection. So I can't get in the car, or I can't take my watch and be like, text my wife because it's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, I've told you 6 different times. So there's weird things that aren't working right there. I will say I am very interested to see how well my old hardware works with Gemini. Maybe that revitalizes things and it starts working again. But my guess is Amazon took the smart approach to put a cutoff as to what can get Voice Services Plus and nothing else will. And Google has seemed kind of lost with their smart home devices. So I don't really trust it to be okay. I really love my Google Home Max because it has great sound, and I've connected it via my phone on Bluetooth just to play stuff on it because it was less of a pain point to start playing stuff. I don't know. I'm using all the old stuff. I'm curious what the new stuff does. I just haven't pulled the trigger on upgrading to anything yet. And you know as well as I do that they're going to give you a taste of, oh, here's all the cool stuff and all the back and forth we can do. And now you got to pay or subscribe to this service to get it. And I'm going to be like, I don't care enough to get that.
One of the things that I suspect they might do about the Google Home, because I agree with you, that the device hardware, I don't know how they would do it, but what I think they might do is basically turn them into dumb machines that are just talking to the cloud. And
that's my guess.
And I think it'll get a little laggy and buggy because my experience to date using Gemini on my prior phone, where the prior phone was made before Gemini came out, was where pretty much everything was being done software-wise, was as soon as there was a connection problem, it just like did not work. It just stopped, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that might end up being the case. And I agree. I think you're right. Amazon's smart for doing the cutoff because really you don't want that poor experience. So we'll see.
Yeah. Also, I just don't think there's a... Sorry, go ahead.
Also, you have the history of the Google graveyard, right? Mm-hmm. So Google has a history of being a bifurcated company with various different efforts going on independently and not together in a cohesive movement forward. I feel like Amazon has done a better job of that, has said, okay, this is what we want our ecosystem to look like, and these different things are going to head in this direction. And if there's innovation along the way, something that's revolutionary that starts branching off into the TVA timeline, then they can follow that, but they can follow it with all the timelines going towards that if they make the corporate decision to do that. It just makes it a more effective ecosystem eventually. So I've always wondered about this, especially with the whole Google Nest thing that happened. When was that? 18 months ago or something like that? I was thinking in terms of, okay, so they're making this decision now. This could be a good thing, or this could be indicative of we don't really know where we want to go in the future. So I think you have those two thought processes where Google's been an effective company, but are they going to be effective innovating and going into the future in this environment? Or are they just searching for that next new revolutionary thing that they can hang their hat on and then go in that direction until the next new revolutionary thing goes, and they'll zigzag their way to success? Seems like it's not a very good deliberate strategic planning way to do things.
I 100% agree with you. I've said it before on here many times, is I primarily use the Amazon voice assistants because I feel they work better as a central family group use device. The Google ones feel exactly to me like they are a reflection of the evolution of them, which was that there was OKG was the assistant that used to be on Android, which then evolved into Google Assistant, which then evolved into Google Now, or no, Google Now, and then Google Assistant. Anyways, there was an evolution, and then it eventually found its way onto a device, and the history goes right back to being a on-device, an on-phone assistant, which makes sense that it's very personal. And I've always felt like the Google ones, they do have the ability to have extra functionality that expands beyond its primary user, but they don't feel that way. They don't feel deliberate. Deliberate is a great word that you used for that, and I 100% agree with you on that for the Amazon side of things.
Also, I'll say it eventually. I mean, we've been living in the mobile phone or smartphone ecosystem for quite some time, and I've enjoyed it. I really have, to have that computing power at the tip of my fingertips, to be able to take wherever I am with me, to be able to communicate with satellites now, depending on, what brand you have and what satellite system, what plan you have. But I think we are getting danger close to smartphones not being a thing in the future. Like something else will take its place. I don't know what it is, if it's going to be a roll screen, if it's going to be, wearable on your, glasses, or I have no idea what it's going to be. But I think, well,
for the audio listener, Chris is unfolding his fold.
And I'm still jealous of that because, Apple doesn't have that in their ecosystem, and I'm stuck in the Apple ecosystem because of my sister. We've talked about this many, many times before, because I really like a bigger screen. But I think even that is going to go away. I think something else will take its place, whether it's virtual, like, the augmented reality, or I have no idea, right? Nobody knows, but I know it's coming, and I know it's coming probably in 10, 15 years, because it's just the life cycle of things. Yeah. I mean, from when we were all kids, and I'm older than you guys were, how fast have we gone from rotary dial phones to these advanced computers that were talking over each other with video and recording and separate tracks and doing amazing stuff, right? So that's not too far into the future. And those advancements have happened in relatively quick succession. When did smartphones come out, right? 2007, I want to say the Android was out there, 2007-ish. And then within 5 years, by 2012, everybody had one.
Well, when was BlackBerry? Because I would argue that the late Blackberries were
probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
So maybe over the course of 10 years versus 5.
But it was really the iPhone that made the smartphone as we know it. So I would think using the iPhone would probably be a fair marker.
2006.
Yeah. So, but still,
Sounds about right.
Yeah. It's a great point. And I look forward to the days that I end up being injected with my mobile phone upgrade.
Or whatever you want to call it, right?
For sure. Well, that is it for our news portion. Now, I did want to quickly just mention, if you are listening or watching the show and you have something exciting that is geek related, whether it's tech or gaming or space, or just the crazy way that you saw SP from the bushes, but he didn't see you, you should come to our Discord and chat with us over in our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord, because we do have a community there that likes to talk about the geeky things, and who knows, maybe your topic will inspire us for conversation on the next episode of the official GonnaGeek Show, because we do talk about things on there and sometimes bring them onto the podcast, and maybe we'll quote you. Maybe not.
I mean, it depends on if you make me look dumb.
All right, it has been a hot minute since we've done an episode of the official GonnaGeek Show. I don't know why I keep saying the official GonnaGeek Show. I know that's our name, but I never really do, but I'm saying it a lot today. Don't want to confuse it with the fake GonnaGeek Show. Anyways, the
Imposters.
And I thought we should take a few moments here to just chat a little bit about some of the geeky things we've been up to, and just, share with the audience some of the highlights over the last year that we want to get out there. Now, I will warn our audience that we might be just a titch quiet about some of these topics, because in the future we do plan to expand on some of them. I know Chris has mentioned a couple ideas on things he wants to delve in depth into, so we'll leave that tease right there. And I'll just kick us all off by recapping some of the stuff that I've gone over the last year. And if you guys want, you can interrupt, ask questions afterwards. You just tell me to shut up. Any of these things is fine.
Shut up.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Did you get hit with space debris?
Not yet. I tried.
Damn it.
I literally stood outside many times, waiting, saying, "Come on, take me out."
You sent us pictures.
It was really awkward when I saw the neighbors and I was naked. I was sure
Yeah, I was gonna say the awkward thing was the nudity, not any of the rest of it.
It really was. Especially since they joined me. But anyways, over the last year, one of the things I want to mention, because we left off in December 2024, and of course it was the holiday season, and I want to mention that my smart Christmasification continued on last year. I continued to smartify things. I got some really crazy light routines going on, all powered through Home Assistant, so that has been fun for me. Of course, I have already earmarked some things to change, which means it'll be back to the coding board, but pretty impressed actually with how well Home Assistant has done. But the thing I wanted to share here was I was so frustrated because like a bunch of this stuff that I have, changing light patterns, things that I have it all done through Home Assistant, through some scripting that I did in there. And I kept every now and then I'd come home and it would be frozen. It would just be stuck on the last pattern and I could not figure out what it was. I actually don't remember the specific of what it was, but when I finally did find out the solution, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, you stupid idiot, you forgot to put this number in here. It was like one little thing. I had to go delving through all the different code, and I finally found it. And it was just that one thing, just one little mistake somewhere, and it irritated me. The other thing that I want to mention is I'm on a Mac now. I know I mentioned that earlier in the show, but I don't know if people caught that. I went back to a Mac. Now, here's the thing. I actually still have a PC in here if I do want to do any gaming, things like that. But last year, I decided that I was going to set the kids up with a computer, a gaming computer, in a central space. And so that made me rethink about what I've got. And basically, I shuffled some of my old computer over there, kept the better video card, and then set up a sort of cross grade in here, but with an Intel machine. And the reason I chose the Intel machine was because I wanted the quick sync encoder for there for streaming purposes. And then I went, this is great. This is great if I want to do some gaming. This is great for other things, but it's still back to that overkill problem for a day-to-day use. Don't need it. And then the Mac Mini M4 was out, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. I don't know what's going to happen. And I panicked and I bought it, and I've actually been pretty happy going back to it since it has been a better experience than my last test. And I will say this, that I am on the baseline Mac Mini, which is one of the things that really held me back on the other one. Was I felt very limited on the other one. I think that I probably still will run into some of those limitations for how I like to stream on this, but that's why the PC is here, because then I can kind of combine the two. But honestly, it's a better experience on the baseline than I was on the elevated line when I was on the M2 Pro. So there is that on the Mac. And yeah, it took a while for me to get back used to it. I still, because I work on Windows, still get very confused back and forth between the control and the command, but it doesn't take me long before I find my groove in the right area there. But yeah, it's been okay. Another thing that I wanted to throw out there was I did continue my smart trailer evolution. I talked about this last year, where for my travel trailer, I did start to smartify it. Well, I decided to go even more this time, and this past summer was very successful. Multiple camping trips. It was great. I have a travel router in there now that I just have sort of tucked away. I have stuff all wired. I modified some wiring so that it can just go into the regular 12 volts, and then basically just have regular Wi-Fi hotspotted while we're camping. And then it's worked awesome because I also have a little Raspberry Pi running Home Assistant in there, so I can keep an eye on humidity. Now, the other thing I keep an eye on is temperature, because we started our camping season in May, and I think you guys will actually find this pretty funny. It was not the ideal weather, May long weekend, and I was like, do we turn the heat on? Do we not turn the heat on? Well, one of the things I discovered was that the higher bunk in the travel trailer tend to get a little warmer, as you might expect, than the lower one. So it got pretty cold, and I'm like, do I turn the heat on in the middle of the night or do I not? I don't want to cook my son who's there, because what if I turn it on and now it's like super hot up there? Come to find out that it was like, I don't know, 6-8 degrees Celsius overnight in the trailer that night. And so I definitely should have turned the heat on, but I didn't know. So I put a little Bluetooth temperature sensor on each bunk so that I can keep an eye out on the humidity, but also the temperature. So that way I can make a better informed decision if it's the middle of the night and it's cold and I go, oh, okay, yeah, no, it's cold in both bunks. I should turn the heat on.
You were also talking about putting a solar panel up on top to power some, cameras in there all the time.
I did do that as well, which was just before I moved it over to storage. I actually put a solar panel on there, and I've got one of my power stations in there. Right now, I'm in sort of the information gathering phase because I don't know, while it's in storage, how much solar it's going to get. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out on, during cloudy days, how much of that battery is being depleted, so I can kind of make a long-term educated decision on it. But I did put the solar panel on there. I put a 200-watt single solar panel on there. And so far, battery has not gone flat yet on my power station, but we will see, because weather hasn't been too terrible. There's been some terrible days, but it'll be like when we get a week of solid rain that I'll really get an idea on, do I need to add another panel? And the reason I want to do that is because I do have it stored in an area that is not a property that I know. It's just a place that I'm storing it on. So I want to keep an eye on that. Now, it's a pretty safe place, but also rodents. If rodents get in, I want to be able to get in there really quick. Mm-hmm. And I do have some things to deter them, but I'd like to hopefully, if a camera goes off, see them. Now, there's many ways that I might not have those triggered, but I'm hoping that would be what would be triggered so that I could actually get in there.
Have you updated your cameras that are in there, or are you still using the Wise cameras?
I am using
incorrectly
different Wise cameras. I actually have those in there, but I have, through Home Assistant, an ability to turn on I had in the I used to have it, the trailer stored at my mom's place. I don't anymore. And so I had these Wise outdoor battery cameras in there. And so the base was inside the place, inside my mom's place. And then the cameras were just powered, and they're using their own wireless frequency. I don't know what it is to talk back. Well, that doesn't really work when it's in an area that I don't have the ability to put the base station inside. But the base station actually uses quite a bit of power. I checked it, and I mean quite a bit, not that much, but it's around 5 watts, 6 watts in there. And when you use the Wisecam OGs, they're like a watt or less, like around then on average, unless the IR is on. So it's actually a difference to have a couple of those versus the other. So I left those in there with the ability to every now and then flash up the base when it's a nice sunny day, and then kind of take a look and see if I see any sign of anything on the floor. So yeah, so far still using the Wisecams. And then the only other thing I was going to throw in here was, I know for a long time we talked about EVs on this show here. We were talking a lot about how we were thinking about using EVs. We went back and forth about buying an EV, pros and cons. And so I said to myself, I'm going to buy myself a V8 Ram 1500, which is not an EV.
Does it have a Hemi in it?
It does.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's automatic,
Yeah.
either EV or Hemi. You
So-
got to go one way or the other.
only reason I did that
Reasonable.
was for the travel trailer. Okay. I needed it for the travel trailer. And I look forward to the day that there is a viable towing truck.
Did you hang fake bull testicles from your tow hitch like everyone else does with big trucks?
Thought about it.
Hmm.
I was going to, though, get you to do a plaster cast so that I could enlarge them.
Oh man, those are like
One fun fact, though, I did actually, not to get off the geek train too much, but I did put some coil airbags in the back end on my own into that, so that for towing purposes, it's a manual inflate where I can not have the ass end too low. And it was a fun project for me. I'd never done anything like that, so that was kind of fun. It was pretty easy to do. The solution I found, they just go in the coil suspension. But I do eventually, I think, want to try to get it actually properly hooked up with an onboard compressor and stuff, but I couldn't find it. They're too expensive right now, the sort of smart solutions I found. And I go, there's got to be something that will come out that will just fit that bill where it's not too expensive, but also smartified. I like the idea of it being smartified.
Yeah, the racing community and the classic car community have a lot of options out there, but it might just be too expensive. I do have a question for you on the airbags. So one of the problems with overweighting your vehicle while towing is you compress the springs, and you might like permanently compress them. So do the airbags prevent that by providing a little extra stiffness so that the springs don't compress? So it's more than just your towing level. It's you're saving your springs on your vehicle. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. Yes. It is. I can't remember the name of them. They've been around for a while. I'll have to see if I can find them up, but Airlift 1000 HD is the product that I put in there. And
If I wanted 4K.
I know,
I was
right?
gonna ask why not 4K?
I know. No, I don't actually know what the HD stands for, but that was the
Heavy duty, probably.
probably.
High
That makes more
definition.
sense. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know, not too much more to go with the one that was better quality. So I did. But yeah, that's exactly it. Is it adds stiffness and stops them from compressing. So yes, you nailed it. But yeah, definitely look forward to the day that there's an affordable hybrid or EV solution in the truck capabilities that you can tow a decent distance without having to pull over and recharge and likely disconnect your trailer and stuff, because it doesn't sound fun to have to try to recharge on the road when you're towing. How about you, Chris? What you been up to? Anything you want to highlight here?
Yes, the biggest thing we already touched on it is, I moved. We've been in the new house for a month and a half or so, and the old townhouse you guys had seen me broadcast out of since the inception of this, assuming nothing goes wrong this time, should close on Friday. So yeah, almost done with that one, almost fully moved in. Part of the stuff of moving in was kind of taking inventory of the tech that I had, figuring out what I wanted to transfer over, what I didn't. I think I had talked about, at least in chat with you guys, maybe not necessarily on the show before, is I was getting pretty salty with the ongoing price increases for the Nest cameras for all of the recording plans and stuff like that, which I think at this point it's up to like $120 for a year. So I pretty much decided that none of my Nest cameras were coming with me. I am leaving them with the house. Whoever gets it can have it. I'm removing them from my account probably Thursday afternoon. They can figure out whether they want to keep the doorbell and the security cameras and whatnot. And that also includes my Nest thermostat, which is end of life at the end of this month. So good timing. So part of what I did when I came here is bought an Ecobee thermostat, got some of the remote sensors for it so that I can base my temperature based off the active rooms in the house. And I've kind of had some fun playing with that. And then my security cameras, I asked Steven what he was using. He mentioned Wise cameras. I'm also using Wise cameras at the front of my house, but they have a new product that I'll probably talk about with you guys in the future going forward, but it's effectively a camera integrated with an LED bulb, and it has worked very well for me in this house. I am paying for Wise's plan. I think it's like $60 a year, and I feel like I'm getting my bang for my buck. Some other stuff I did. At the old house, I had fiber. At the new house, I had Comcast internet for a very brief window. Why that was because the other provider here, Frontier, would take 2.5 weeks to do an install. And I was like, well, I don't have time to wait for that. I can literally go to the Comcast store, pick up a modem, plug it in the closet, and be good to go. So I had Comcast for a while until Frontier was literally coming door to door and signing people up with plans. I could have gotten up to 8 gigabit internet service, which just seemed excessive. I signed up for their gigabit, which is probably a little excessive, but it did come with a free Eero Pro 7. And then I bought another one. So I'm running Eero Pro 7 hardware in the house now instead of the 6Es. What's nice about that is the previous owners of this house had hardwired the entire home. So every room other than the kitchen has at least one Ethernet jack that is hardwired in to the linen closet in it. The office itself that I'm in right now has 2 jacks. There's one on the wall that's opposite me and one on the wall that's behind me. So I have hardwired as much as possible in my house with lots of little unmanaged switches. I've also hardwired in my wireless, my Eero mesh hardware. So it is using wired connections for backhaul. And it is rock solid right now. I can go anywhere in this house and pretty much pull the entire gigabit of service that I have right now. I'm very pleased with it.
Is that including your bomb shelter underneath the garage? It is
including the bomb shelter that is underneath the backyard.
Oh, the backyard.
The backyard, yeah.
So that's the public one you want? You don't want them to know about the one under the garage? Okay.
Right.
I will refer to the backyard from now on.
So
there is no bomb shelter underneath your garage.
Right. Real quick, as I'm wrapping things up, this is not a townhouse. It's actually a full ranch home on its own. Not ranch, but split level on its own. So I'm having to grow up, do adulting, like lawn care and stuff like that I haven't had to do for years.
Wait till you do roof work.
Yeah, the roof is only 9 years old on this one, so I'm in good shape.
Yeah,
but
putting up Christmas lights and stuff. I mean, there's ladders involved.
Yeah, my happy ass ain't climbing on a roof. Let's put it that way. But I do have some stuff I'll share in a future show about how I am using tech to simplify some of my lawn care and things like that. Those of you that know can probably read between the lines to figure out what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's a lot of stuff I've been going. Yeah, goats, exactly. A lot of stuff that's been going on. And I think I also touched on during the show that I've gotten a Stream Deck and I've been not stream. God, Steven, you're doing it to me now.
Yes!
Steam Deck. Yes! Damn it. I did get a Steam Deck and I have been playing a bunch of stuff on that. And it is a very nice console. I have enjoyed it a lot, but that's the major stuff. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I'm missing. Come quiz us on the Discord.
Yeah.
GonnaGeek.com/Discord. Go to the GonnaGeek channel. You can quiz us on the stuff I'm getting into. We can get more in depth and answer some questions basically on some of the things we've been doing. It's been an interesting transition moving and having cleaned out some of my tech and changed some stuff around, but also migrated some of it, like all of my smart home tech and light bulbs and stuff for the most part. I brought all of that stuff over with me. So it's been a matter of having to relabel things, redo rooms on things, and stuff like that. And I think I have that about 90% licked at this point in time. There's still a few things I'm like, I can't remember what I renamed this to. I need to go in and clean it up and get the routines working right.
Do you lick the wires? Is that what you're?
I do.
Okay.
I lick all the wires. I like to see if I can get a little jolt by doing so.
Did you bring any of your smart switches over?
The ones that were plug based that I could just pull out of the plug, yes. Like, for instance, the exterior lights over my garage door, I had a Wi-Fi switch in the wall. I did not bring that with me because I did not care enough to do so. And my solution with Wise cameras basically made it so that as long as I leave the switch on, it will control dusk to dawn lighting with the Wyze cameras itself. So I kind of got around needing to have a smart switch on it.
What about the ones you had booby trapped with C4?
We don't talk about those ones.
And just like,
It's like Fight Club.
no bomb shelter underneath the garage. Okay, got it. Two important things. Got it.
I have to say, you motivated me with the doorbell thing, by the way, is I got tired. I got an email about some changes with the Ring. And so I was like, oh, okay. I use many Rio Link cameras, and I'm like, okay, there's one on sale. I'm gonna do that for the doorbell, and no subscription at the moment. We'll see where my data goes, but yeah, I was just like, I'm done. So I switched.
No, I
over.
get it. I don't actually have a smart doorbell right now, but there is a camera right over the light fixture over the doorbell. So pretty much I'm alerted to any motion or when stuff is dropped off. So I'm not really sure I'm going to put a smart doorbell in at this house. I'm probably fine with the conventional one. Although I am considering, for the first time, I finally found a smart lock that I am considering, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. And if you've been on our Discord, if you go to the Smart Home channel, you can take a look at that. I don't want to talk too much about it because if I do decide to get it, I'm going to turn it into a story that we can talk about here on the show.
I like stories.
Just
stories
as
are
an FYI, Wyze does make a couple of doorbells if you change your mind on that. And
Yeah, I saw that, but I don't literally the doorbell rather, and the camera are like this far apart. I can't really show it on camera. They're less than like 2 or 3 feet apart from each other because they're so close. So it seems like overkill to have a doorbell camera when there's literally a security camera over top that monitors that exact same space.
But see, I have multiple cameras under your guys' desks, and I've never found it to be redundant.
Boy, I'm sorry.
Do you like being able to talk to people through the camera from time to time?
I can do that through my security cameras too.
Okay, I can't.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
How about you, SP? What you been up to?
It's been a pretty boring year as far as tech and smart stuff is in the SP household. But I do have 3 things that I could talk about. First of all, I got kind of tired of when people come, like my daughter and her boyfriend or whatever, come to stay in the house, and I have to not watch the TV through the speaker because she's a nurse and she's on a very strict sleep schedule, and it would keep her awake since the bedroom share a wall. So I went ahead and I bought a Bluetooth capable pair of earbuds. I bought the Soundcore P40i by Anker, and they're just little, blue earbuds that I put in, and they work fine for watching TV in bed, and that helps me go to sleep. I have noticed a lot of differences between that and the Apple earbud 2s, whatever they're called, the Pro 2s. There are some differences between the two. The noise cancellation isn't as good, and the functionality, the control functionality, like if you want to control the volume on the Apple earbuds, you can just put your finger up and down the stem, and that will increase or lower the volume. There's no volume control on those things. You have to control it from the device that you're listening to. In this case, it would be the Roku that it's hooked up to. So it's been a success in that I'm able to watch TV and nobody else in the house is annoyed by it. Basically, the sound when there's people here, and I'm older than you guys, all my kids are out, but say that my granddaughter is here and we're watching her and I don't want to wake her up. That's another thing to do right there. Okay, so that's one. And then
before you go on, I do have a question for you about you, because before you related to that, because I actually think about you quite a bit too. A lot of times when,
of course you do.
Well, of course, but in this situation, it's related to like if I'm out and about, just looking at tech and looking at things like the earbuds or the earphones and stuff. I do think about, you've talked in the past on this show about how you have some issues with certain earbuds in your ear. And it seems like in recent years, you've been able to have more options available. Is that something that you actually have? Like I was thinking about this when I was looking at some the other day with my son at the store. I was thinking like, I wonder if now that the Bluetooth earbuds are so prevalent, are there more options available to you that work?
Yeah, no, not they all don't work.
Damn.
for me. I still get the same like health issues from dealing with them in my ear, the potential ear infections and stuff like that. So I can't wear them in my ear. Like through this podcast, I would not be able to wear them the entire time. I would have had to take them out, aired out my ears, and protected them from getting infected. It doesn't matter if it's an Apple AirPod or these Soundcore P40s or whatever. It just doesn't matter. If they're in my ears, there's issues with that. So good thoughts, I guess. And I think I'm a far minority in the whole thing. I think there's not a lot of people with my same issue there, medical issue there.
Gotcha.
So I also branched out a little bit more this year for electric tools, handheld and garden or yard tools or whatever. So I went ahead and I bought some DeWalt pruning tools, like a little 8-inch chainsaw and a little wireless or cordless pruner, which just like snips together. It's kind of weird. It looks like a drill, basically. It's got a big handle on it. It's not like the little pruning shears that you normally just squeeze and whatever. If you've got a lot of pruning to do, by the way, this saves your hand quite a bit, and you can do either hand. And it's with the 20-volt DeWalt system, and it's worked great. It does get heavy over the course of hours, but it's far greater to experience the fatigue from the heaviness of the tool as you're holding it for 2 hours than the fatigue that you would get in your hand by squeezing the shears over and over and over and over again. Plus, you can go through some thicker branches while you're doing it. So that's pretty cool. The DeWalt 8-inch cordless chainsaw 20-volt, I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. And yeah, it shares a battery with the pruner. So if you're out in the yard, you can just swap the battery back and forth between the two of them. Or if you happen to have multiple DeWalt batteries, you can do that. But it's severely underpowered. It's not for going through a tree. It's going through, I want to say 6-inch branches or less. And I would say I would keep it under 4 inches on the branch size that you're going through. It's just not that powerful. It is capable of doing more. Like if it's the only two you have, you can use it. But I seriously wouldn't use it for heavy duty stuff. I would get a bigger chainsaw for it. So it's small and it's the same battery system. So yeah, it works from that standpoint. And I would definitely recommend the pruner, the shears pruner, the chainsaw. I had several different ones over the years, and this one, okay, I have it, but I wouldn't buy it again. Let's put it that way. The other thing that I invested into, because I started buying my dad the Husqvarna 40-volt system, just because I have the Toro. We talked about it before. I have the Toro electric lawnmower, and I'm like, but their lawn tools aren't really noted beyond the lawnmower itself for, I don't know, reliability or huskiness or whatever. There's the snow blowers as well. So I might go into that with Toro, but for everything else, I'm like, I need to branch out into another battery system. I was thinking about Ego for a while, but I was like, yeah, I don't think, And I was going back and forth, and it became Father's Day. And I was like, you know what? Or no, it was last Christmas. So it was after we podcasted last time. And I was like, my dad wants a new chainsaw. I'm going to get him an electric chainsaw. So I went back and forth between the Steel, the Ego, and the Husqvarna, and I settled on the Husqvarna. I don't know if that was the best solution or not, but I figured if I'm getting him the battery system, I might as well invest in the same battery system, because I might end up, combining the tool sets over the years. So I did get him a chainsaw. I also got him for Father's Day a pole saw, same battery system, the Husqvarna 40. And I was like, I want to look into other ones. So I got a hedge trimmer and I got an edger. And so far,
Can I just say that on a different podcast, an edger and a hedge trimmer would be very different things?
That manscaping is a thing. But in any event, they have worked okay. I would be very curious as to using another system like the Toro system or the Ego system to see if I went down the right path. Steel is probably the premium brand when you're talking about personal power tools for the lawn, at least on the gas side. I don't know about their electric stuff, but they are very expensive. So there's a cost item in there. As far as the lawnmowers, Ego, and I know you have like a Cobalt system yourself, but as far as the lawnmowers, I would equate the Toro and the high-end Ego with the metal deck to be about the same, and they cost about the same. So between the two of them, I'm still happy with the Toro because of the personal pace self-propel system on it. And I did buy my son-in-law as a housewarming gift because they just moved a Ego and he loves the thing. So I'm so glad I got him something. And the intent there was that he would build out the Ego ecosystem. But then he went to go on a, what is it? The Stanley system for like a string trimmer. And I was like, what?
Odd.
Did you not understand the assignment? So anyway, we've got various different ecosystems and batteries. And yes, the idea is to have one ecosystem, but in some cases, you might not have a perfect tool in one ecosystem, and it might be the tool that's going to drive you nuts. So you have to try another one. And in this case, the edging tool, not that edging tool, Stephen, but the edging tool for my sidewalk in my driveway, it kind of drove me to the Husqvarna as well as the chainsaw. So those took me down that path for the non-lawnmower power. That said, there is something to be said about sticking with one ecosystem just so you have as many batteries as possible, because you never know when you're going to do a full day of whatever and you're going to need 5 or 6 or 7 batteries. Like my dad with the chainsaw up at the lake, I guarantee you he could probably use 10 or 12 batteries in a day going through that with the chainsaw. Also, like 2 or 3 or 4 chains for it as well. But that would be the case whether you're using gas or electric. So yeah, getting as many electric batteries as possible in one ecosystem for a tool that you're going to go to town on for a day is probably the best thing. There's just no great answer. Yeah, gas is great, but on the other hand, I just used my string trimmer, my steel gas string trimmer for the first time in about 2 months, and it took me 15 minutes to get that dang thing started. With an electric tool, you slap it in, you pull the trigger, and it's go time. So, yeah.
50 minutes seems pretty good for that, actually.
It's relatively decent. I mean, I loaned it to my son-in-law before he bought his Stanley. So I think there was some lock, some, gas lock or whatever going on with it. But I was able to get through it. And eventually, once it started, it was great. I restarted it a couple of times and it worked fine. But I had to get it started that first time.
Well, that's awesome. And I look forward to you. Well, I'll just say it. The Cobalt batteries are going on my mower, and at that point, because I don't think they're actually in Canada anymore, I won't get into it here, but come to the Discord. Okay. So I'll probably pick your brain, because I will probably likely want to do the like I have a pretty decent 18-volt Ryobi line stuff, but with the mower, like the one I've got with Cobalt, it's a 40-volt, so I'll probably want to get something in the line that's going to be for the more higher powered, the more oomphy tools. And so I'll need to probably figure out what ecosystem I want to go into.
Well, even the 40 volt is more powerful. It's the combination of the volts and the amps together to get your watts, the power.
Yeah.
And so if you have a 60 volt system, 40 volt system, 80 volt system, it doesn't really matter. It matters how many amps. And now if you combine the two, how many watts you get, that's the real power, is the watts out of there. And they don't tell you that. They'll just say how many amp hours it is and how many volts there is, but you just multiply them together and you get the watts. I do believe, and you could prove me wrong, Chris, but I think you're in the Ego system for your personal tools.
In part, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Chris has an Ego?
He does.
Rather healthy one.
I think actually we dealt with the same mower between my son-in-law and you. So I think we're right there.
I did the bundle that came with an extra free battery.
Oh yeah, that's good. How do you like the personal pay? It's not personal pace. How do you like the power system? The self-propel system?
I had to get it dialed in. It took a little bit to find the pace I was comfortable with. And to be honest, I only really use it when I'm going uphill. If I'm going just relatively flat or downhill, I don't use the self-propelled. And I think
can you turn it off and on easily?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's about a 2-second delay before it kicks in or kicks off, I've found. So you need to time things, but you can hold that if you think you're about to go in somewhere and the self-propel is not going to drag you along. It's not that powerful.
Okay.
So I'm not going to strap my kids on behind it and let them go for rides around the yard with it. Not going to happen.
Your kids are old enough now. You can just tell them to mow the lawn, I think.
Yeah, no, I meant they were going to pull me. That's what I meant.
Oh.
And the other thing, I thought of going for a rider system as well, like staying in the same battery system, whether it's Toro, Ega, or whatever.
It's a lot of batteries.
But then I started looking into the batteries on those tractors or on those zero turns. It's a totally different battery system. You would think it's the same. It's not.
Not for Ego, though. Ego, you put like 6 batteries in it, and that's how it runs.
The,
for their
the new
electric
Egos
motor.
is the new battery.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I was looking at the old one, and that would explain why on Reddit you see a bunch of people saying, hey, I got the tractor for cheap at Lowe's because it had sat for like a year because they couldn't sell it. So like they gave the tractors for like 70% off and stuff like that.
Well, there you go. There's some of the things that we've been up to, but yes, there has been a lot more than that. If you'd like to discuss, come to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. We'd love to see you over there. And hey, like we said, it'll be bi-weekly. We're still working on dialing in the time. Chris mentioned it. We're recording this on Monday. It was really only Saturday-ish that we locked this in. So, yeah.
Actually, like last night when we locked it in.
That's true. That's fair. But we were semi-locked on Saturday.
Semi-auto, right? Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah, no.
Call of Duty. Here we go.
We will let you know what our ongoing time will be. And who knows what evolution you'll see with our backdrops as we podcast more. I know for me, I'm not wild about the curtains that I've chosen. We'll see. I've been looking at them the whole night. I'm going to get the wrinkles out first and then decide, but I think they're a little too shiny. So I might have to...
Why don't you get the shower curtain with the dog on the toilet?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, see?
Can I Photoshop you on the toilet?
Chris,
I mean,
it is the obvious one.
I'll just send you a picture if you want. Give me 5 minutes. You want this pose?
Yeah, that'd be great. And seriously, thanks for everybody who has listened or watched us. We do have some thoughts about how we're going to try to revitalize this a little bit more. Might be a little bit till we get that some of those changes happening, but we absolutely, I think, have found our passion back with this show a little bit after taking a bit of time off, and we are excited to see where it goes. I don't know why I talked like Shatner right now. That was weird.
I mean, even the new Kirk talked like Shatner in that one Space-Time Hour Adventure Hour episode.
Because you have to channel Bill Shatner.
He's still with us right now. We'll see how much longer that lasts.
So, for episode number 416, I'll be honest this
remembered.
time. I'm Steven saying I'm so happy to be back.
I'm SP saying it's good to be back. We'll see everybody next time.
I'm Chris, and I still haven't signed my contract.
50 cent? No, $1? What was the
I
saying
know
you
a
used to
good
say?
lawyer.
I don't even remember anymore.
Remember.
Please don't say it anymore.
Bye!
Bye, guys.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of The Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next show.